Hi everyone, my name is Vince Gauman, and I can't go another day without speaking out about what's going on with children in the world right now. I'm a fierce advocate of children. I love children, and I have spoken out as a protector of them, as a champion of them for a long time. I've written a book about them, and I just can't keep my mouth shut anymore. And it's absolutely appalling to think that we have millions, if not billions, of loving parents and loving teachers and adults who claim to love children condoning what is clearly a boundary violation and what is clearly abuse. We are making okay, totally acceptable. We are making okay putting a muzzle on little children, children in daycare, children in kindergarten, making them wear that shield, that cloth for hours and hours a day, day after day after day, impeding their intake of the vital element of oxygen that is so important for their brain development, for their nervous system development, at a time when they are growing and developing really quickly. Last time I checked, the brain develops 90% by the time a child is around 4 to 5 years old. And oxygen is key to that development. It is vital. It's vital for their cells. It's vital for their DNA. DNA, people. Genetic blueprint. Living library. That's where the identity is, in the DNA. Cells breathe just like the pores of your skin breathe, just like your mouth breathe, your lung breathe. We are breathing machines, and your cells breathe. They need oxygen. And we are depriving that from our precious little ones, the most vulnerable people, the people that really need the oxygen for their growth and development at a time when they're growing and developing really quickly. It is absolutely abhorrent. It is absurd. It is insane to deprive them of that. Meanwhile, we make it perfectly okay to give them a medical solution for something that has what, a 0.0001 chance of killing them, to prevent them from such a minuscule probability. We're going to put this toxic poison in them, which is not a medical solution. It is not. It is a carefully constructed, deliberate attempt to manipulate the DNA. It's going on worldwide, in case you didn't know. And we're doing it to children. We're doing it to pregnant women. We're expecting pregnant women to put that in themselves. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. We allow this to happen. We make this okay. We make this okay. Loving parents. Loving parents. Children who need to express, who need to laugh, who need to co-regulate. By the way, that's a different topic. But a child's ability to co-regulate is dependent on them seeing the facial expressions of their primary attachment figures. They need to see their mouth. Because young children don't have the capacity to self-regulate, and that means self-soothe. So you've heard the saying that a parent's calm engenders a child's calm. That means co-regulation. But the part of the brain that is responsible for co-regulation is not developed when children are young. So they need the relationship, a safe, secure connection to co-regulate. And a big part of what creates that secure bond, that co-regulating relationship, is the child's ability to see facial expressions. Okay, so that's a whole different topic. But that is impacting their brain development, their inability to read the adults, and thus develop the capacity to regulate. We are limiting their capacity for resilience. We are hurting the brain's natural developmental process. It's natural growth cycles. Children are relational beings. They're attachment driven. They need to see the face, not just the nose, not just the eyes, not just the ears, but the mouth. It is absolutely appalling. I mean, it's appalling that we put them in the school system. We put them in a school system, a state-controlled school system, which has long been designed to indoctrinate them, to manipulate them. It's not about the child's soul. It is not about the child's creativity. It never has been. If it was about the child's soul, and it was about the child's creativity, and was about the child's imagination, and was about the child's health, then don't you think that there would have been much more emphasis on that than on simply rote learning, memorization, developmentally inappropriate curriculum that is not suitable for where they're at with their brain development at that young age. When the right brain is developing, but the left brain hasn't fully developed yet, because the left brain develops after the right brain, and we're giving them left brain material, and now they're getting what's called learned stupidity. Learned stupidity. They're learning they're stupid because they're learning developmentally inappropriate curriculum that they're not ready to learn yet. And now the passionate learner that they are, as all children are, is being stunted. They're losing their interest in learning, but children are natural learners. Just look at how they naturally want to learn. They learn naturally, instinctively, just by the very fact that they crawl and then walk and then run and talk. All of this is absurd. All of this is appalling. All of this needs to stop. Please think about it for a second. You are putting a muzzle on a child. A muzzle. And you know why I have to call it that. You are putting this on them for hours and hours and hours a day, after day after day. And you are justifying this? You are justifying this? You're making this okay? You don't see that this is abuse? How can you not see that this is abuse? How can you not see that this is abuse? How can you not see that giving them the injection is abuse? How can you not see it's not abuse? How can you not see it is abuse? You know, I walk around, and I'm guessing some of you feel this. I walk around the city, and I feel like I'm in a fairyland. I feel like I'm in a fairyland because I am riding my bike or walking past people, and most people are asleep. They're asleep to what's going on. They don't realize what's going on. They don't get the larger picture. They don't. They're asleep. If you want to know why something to this scale has to happen, this magnitude, why it has to be so big, so extreme, it's because people are this asleep. They need this strong a wake-up call. It has to be this big, because they're that asleep. And so this does need to happen. I accept that. I accept that this needs to happen. I don't condone it, and that's why I'm speaking up. But I accept that it's going to take this level of extremity for people to snap out. Because what's going to eventually happen, as you know, or some of you may know, is the world is increasingly going to crumble and crumble and crumble. And the heart is going to break more and more open when we start coming to our senses and seeing things for how they are instead of seeing things for how they are not. And we're going to have brokenheartedness, and we're going to have a crumbled world, and the crumbling of the world and the brokenheartedness is going to be the compost from which we grow the new world. The brokenheartedness that must come from such extreme measures, from such extreme insanity, and the crumbling of the world together. Mix it together. Mix it together, and that's the compost. We are going to need this much heartbreak. And so I'm coming to you right now, and I'm talking to you to help you see the heartbreak, to maybe wake up. If I can get one parent, one teacher to think things differently. to take their kids out of school, to take the stupid muzzle off, to not inject them. Well, I'll be a happy man. I'll be a happy man if it's just one. We need to wake up. There's so much insanity going on right now in the world, as you know. But here's the thing. Have you wondered why it's all happening at once? Why is everything just escalating and escalating and escalating? Do you think it's no coincidence that everything is happening at once? We got the craziness at the immigration, with craziness with the immigration at the U.S.-Mexican border. We got critical race theory, that charged issue, politically charged issue. We got defunding the police. We got obscenely high amounts of homicide, drug overdose deaths. We got the transgender issue. Right? We got the thing that just happened in Afghanistan. We got the fires, the floods. Yeah, a lot of this stuff has been going on for a while, but the thing is, there's just something about the way it's all coming up now at the same time with a particular kind of charge that makes you just kind of want to go, or at least I hope so. Here's the thing. When you're asleep, you look at those different things as separate. You look at them as separate parts, but when you wake up, you see them as a whole. And when you see them as a whole, suddenly your critical thinking goes to a whole different level. Your critical thinking that's not going to come from only watching the mainstream media. Your critical thinking goes to a whole different level when you see it as a whole, because suddenly you realize it's all part of one big plan. The pandemic, all those pieces and other pieces I haven't mentioned, it's all one plan. And it's the elites who are running it. It is the elites. You can blame the Democratic government. I'm Canadian, but I'm definitely watching what's going on in the States. You can blame the Democratic government all you want. You can blame the Democratic administration, but they're the puppets. They're the puppets. They're ignorant in many ways. They're being controlled higher and higher and higher and higher up to the top of the pyramid. And that top of the pyramid controls, ultimately, the education system, big pharma, corporations, our judicial system, obviously government. People are not, at this time, able to wake up to this. They want so badly to go back to normal. Let's go back to normal. Let's just get our job and go back to normal. There is no going back to normal. We are not going back, everyone. We are not going back to normal. You keep putting your kids in school, not realizing that you're educating them for a crumbling world. The jobs of today, so many of them are not going to exist in a few years, especially with AI coming. We have to wake up. We have to wake up that normal is dying, and it should die. It needs to die. It needs to crumble. It needs to fall to pieces. It needs to end so we can birth a beginning, a great beginning. And so we have this opportunity now, and we are going to go through. We are going to go through to the other side. But I for one, don't want to be someone who regrets not speaking up. I don't want to be someone who regrets not protecting our children as best as I possibly can. I don't want to be someone who, when on my deathbed, I think, shit, I didn't stand up for the kids. And what about you who's watching this now? Do you want to regret that? Do you want to regret that? We all have a part to play right now, large and small. Some people it's small, some people it's medium, some people it's large, some people it's very large. We all have our parts, but here's the thing, we need courage now. We need courage to speak up. We need courage to not tolerate this abuse of children. It is abuse. And it is shocking to think how accepted it is widespread by people who love children. And I believe they love children. I just believe they're very, very, very ignorant and very, very, very naive and very, very unwilling, so many of them, to look at their own shadow, their own dark side. And because of that, they can't see the darkness around them. They can't see that this has nothing to do with health, nothing to do with health, and everything to do with power. They can't see that. And so here we are. Here we are. So if this video speaks to you, please share it. If you know someone who's on the fence and is open, please share it with them. Please leave your comments. Use your discretion when leaving your comments, but please leave your comments. And if you're someone who's offended, by what I'm saying, well then, here's a radical idea. Because so much of what's going on with cancel culture right now, well, it's so much around people getting offended. Okay, so here's a radical idea. If you're getting offended by what I'm saying right now, instead of reacting at me, instead of lashing out at me, instead of building more and more divides, ask yourself, where is my reaction coming from? What have I not dealt with from my past that's causing me to react? Because react means reenact the past. There's a big difference between unconsciously reacting and consciously responding. So this is self-responsibility. What we have so much of in the world right now is just, we are plagued with victim energy acting out. Victim energy acting out. So much of it is in the name of social justice warriors, woke energy. And the woke people and the social justice warriors don't realize that by pushing the divides, by reacting at people, by lashing out at people, they are playing into the hands of the elites. They are doing the elites' work. They're helping them out. They're ushering in this totalitarian regime. That is not going to take place, by the way. That is not going to take place. But right now, in the ignorance of so much of what woke is, so it's victim energy. It's victim energy. Okay, so if you're offended by what I have to say, take responsibility for it. Take responsibility for it. Instead of projecting it onto me, instead of projecting your offense on the world and lashing out at them. If people did this one thing, if every person did this one thing, and I don't expect the elites to do it, but if everyone else did this one thing and said, wait a second, before I lash out, before I react, where is this coming from? Maybe it's coming from the fact that I still haven't come to terms with what happened to me when I was a child. If everyone did that, boy, think about what would happen then. We'd have a much, much more conscious, much, much more sane, much, much more respectful, respecting, loving society. It's love, everyone, that we need right now. It's love. Not the emotional, messy, tripping all over ourselves love that we limit ourselves to in our relationships and that we see in the cinema, in our soap operas. That's not the kind of love I'm talking about. I'm talking about the love that is not bound to this world, a love that does not limit itself to the world, but a love that is transcendent, a love that is who we are. We are that love. That's what's needed. The solutions we need right now are not going to come by bickering and bickering and bickering. And yet we do need to speak out. We do need to name the intolerable. But the thing is when you do it from your heart, when you do it from your power, when you do it from love instead of victim energy, you serve. But when you do it from fear and unprocessed victim energy, you perpetuate duality. You continue victim-perpetrator consciousness. It is love that we need. And so let me ask you this. What is the loving choice in regards to children? What is the loving choice? Is it loving to put a muzzle on them and inject them with something for a illness that has a 0.0011, whatever it is, percentage of killing them? Is that love? No. That's just ignorance. That's just ignorance. That is complete blindness. That is going to the news every day and saying, please tell me what to believe today. Please tell me what to believe today, and I'm going to listen to you without critical thinking. That is listening to authority without understanding history. Our history of corruption, our history of how totalitarian regimes have come into fore. We need to listen to our instincts right now. Mothers, fathers, teachers, you are loving people. Listen to your instincts. Stop listening to the science. The science is set. No, the science is not set. You're set. You're set in your ways. But you don't have to be. You don't have to be. What does your instinct tell you? Is it loving? Is it wise really to do that? Or are you just doing that? Are you just going along with the herd, with the flock? Doing what you think you should be doing because you're afraid to speak out. You're afraid to be different. You're afraid that someone might react at you. Well, guess what? Leadership is not about making people comfortable, and it's not about being comfortable, but it's about doing what's right. It's about doing what's right for you, for others, and obviously for our children. And that's what we need right now. We need leaders. Leaders who are brave enough to speak up and stand out and not tolerate child abuse. So this is the time, people. This is the time. Speak up. Stand out. And yeah, I stand by what I've said many times before and what I've written down as well in my blog. This needs to happen. I've said this to you already. It needs to happen. So I do accept that this needs to happen. It's got to be this extreme for there to be the necessary kind of wake up that's needed given the amount of ignorance there is. And speak up. It's time, everyone. It's time to be the leader the world is waiting for. It's time to be the leader, the parent, the teacher that our children are waiting for, because they're waiting for it right now. They're waiting for it right now. They're waiting for you to show up from your loving, wise heart. Okay, everyone, thank you. Please subscribe, please share, please comment. Thank you for listening and watching. Thank you.